this is why sometimes you no longer need the devil to be fighting your prayers. He lets you walk into your closet and you pray, and he knows that he's going to be fighting his own prayers there. Let him go there. As long as there is condemnation, he is still acknowledging sins that he committed that he never committed. Simply because before he went into prayer, he failed to pick up a life, a sinless life. So when we preach about what Jesus did, it's not just what Jesus did, it is what we did at the well. Wow. We overcame sin at the well.
Well, shalom, hello there. Welcome to the Watcher's Blog. Thank you for joining us today. Now, we're going to be watching a video by Prophet Emmanuel Makandiwa as he was teaching on why sometimes life becomes so difficult, especially for a person who calls himself a Christian. Now, Prophet Makandiwa was teaching and making reference to the entire life of Christ Jesus, from the day that he was born to the day that he was crucified and risen from the dead. Now, he does say that the life of a Christian, for it to be hard, it was God's will. God made it so that people would draw close to him. And he says that your progress is closely linked to your relationship with God. Now, to actually understand in depth, be sure to watch the video to the very end. Remember to also give it a thumbs up and share it with your family and friends. Stay blessed. Shalom.
So let me finish this part first. I know I've tried to deal with it before, but let me try one more time. The life that was laid by Jesus on the ground, he doesn't want to impose it on you. It was supposed to be laid down, meaning made available, meaning accessible. Should you desire to let go of your own attire, your own life, that should not become the end of your life. You must be able to put off a life so that you can put on another life. So currently as we speak, there is still some remains of his life that was laid on the ground, which is yet to be picked by his friends. And his friends are still wondering why he even died in the first place. Why did he die? Jesus lost a life for us to pick, for us to inherit. Let me put it this way. Remember, I was even at this point when I was explaining this part of life, when I said, you know, he came, though he was God, he became flesh, and he lived a human life. A human life. Now, Jesus being God, it means he has got the Zoe, the God kind of life. Yes? And then he became human so that he would live a human life. And when Jesus had that, when Jesus had access into what we know to be a human life, it is what he did with the human life. It is what he did with the human life. It is what he, before we talk of receiving the life of God, no, there is also the human life that he lived. And he left for the humans to live. Whether they choose to be born again or what, these are two lives that he laid down. There is one of the lives that does not make you born again. There is the other life that makes you born again. The human life that Jesus lived was a victorious life. Now, you see, nature was advised by God to maltreat you. Mountains are under a divine order to disobey you. The fish is under a command to escape your nets if you're a fisherman. Money is under an instruction to fly away from you. Are you following? Okay. The reason why nature was commanded to disobey you, it is because you were supposed to reap what you had sown. You disobeyed. And a direct order that was given to you by God, do not eat. And you ate. And God said, okay, I want you to have a feel, have the same experience, how it feels to be dishonored. Then creation is under a commandment to rebel against your attempts. The field, the ground was commanded not to yield its power unto you. So crops are going to grow slowly according to your relationship with God. So the size of the maize cob, that's not the actual size of the maize cob. That is your size. So your field, your cattle, your goats are supposed to consult your uprightness before God before they can take on any form. They have to grow according to your relationship with God. So the biggest animal that we have, which is an elephant, it's according to us. If we were bigger than this in terms of our relationship with God, an elephant would have been bigger than what it is now. Everything around us have borrowed it's a reflection of our relationship. That's why God said, for your sake, the ground is cursed. It's for your sake. The performance of the ground, the outcome that you see is equivalent. It is proportionate to your relationship with me. So this whole idea of trying to put top and defertilizer, we are trying to circumvent the process. Because the ground is under an order to disobey. Now, that's not what I said while Esther was standing there. What I said while Esther was there was, sit down please, sit down. Jesus came and I said, what was supposed to be done? I'm about to say something that I never said again. What was supposed to be done was for you to be given another chance to live a victorious life. To say, okay, give him another chance. Give him a fresh test. So if he overcomes in obeying that instruction, then we reverse the curse. He disobeyed an order. This is why he's under a curse. So what do we do this time around? Instead of us giving him a fresh order for him to obey so that we remove the curse, it was predetermined that you were going to fail again. Because they are giving a new order to an already fallen creature. So you are bound to what? To repeat the same mistake. So this is why Jesus said, okay, no, I would rather be the one. I will come and I will live a victorious life. And for that life to be victorious, I have to be tried and tested the same way they are tried and tested. So in my life, there ought to be hunger, where I hunger early in the morning, and I have to beg a fig tree, my own creation, to deal with my quest, to deal with my hunger. so that I'm equally tried and tested. So for me to be tried and tested, there must be a time when all of my disciples are foolish enough to go and buy bread, all of them, and I'm left alone at the well, and give a woman, a prostitute, an opportunity to come and interface with that kind of a human life and see if I can come out clean and victorious. That test was not given to you, otherwise you were going to oh my God. So Jesus said, give it to me. Now what is happening here is that when Jesus had gone through the entire process of overcoming sin, that life, that victorious life, then became the life that he laid down for a promiscuous individual who is ready to put off his past life, and you take on a life that was already lived. Once you put it on, it means you have never slept with a woman before. It's difficult for people to understand this part. This falls under inheritance. Now, you have made that before. That's a fact. You have killed before. If we do our investigation proper, it was you who prostituted. And the reason why still you can be condemned today is because you are still the same person. You have still kept the same life that committed that act. There was no deliberate demarcation that you created where you would tear off your life and pick up another life that once had an encounter with a woman at the well and you overcame. So when we preach about what Jesus did, it's not just what Jesus did, it is what we did at the well. Wow. We overcame sin at the well. That is if you have come to a place where you pick that life up and you make it your own. If they ask you, you can give them a list of sins that you overcame. Because it is the package, it is part of that life that was lived by him. I don't know if you're following what I'm talking about here. This is why sometimes you no longer need the devil to be fighting your prayers. He lets you walk into your closet and you pray, and he knows that he's going to be fighting his own prayers there. Let him go there. As long as there is condemnation, he is still acknowledging sins that he committed that he never committed. Simply because before he went into prayer, he failed to pick up a life, a sinless life that was laid down for him. You pray and you pray and you pray, and yet you still don't believe God will ever hear you. Because of what? The sin that you committed. Had you inherited his righteousness, my God, even God himself would be wondering, where does this guy get his confidence from? Here comes a son who knows that the inheritance that you worked on was not even yours. We are partakers of that inheritance. Seek ye the kingdom and his righteousness, not ours, his. When you find his, when you seek his and you find it, that righteousness makes you righteous. You boldly can come before the throne of grace, boldly, not shaking. may be seated. You may be seated.